Hello and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. Thursday Thoughts? What on earth are they, I hear you ask? Well, my friend Lucy and I meet every week over on Instagram to talk all things personal growth because she is as obsessed with it as I am. And we decided that we might as well put those conversations out as a weekly podcast. So now you can listen to us chat here on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be talking about topics such as spirituality, limiting beliefs, the ego, imposter syndrome, gratitude, meditation, confidence, and so much more. So if you're ready, here we go. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How was your holiday?
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you.
Was it?
Yes, it's just, and actually, it was really, really good. And we had such a lovely time. And it's just very precious time now to go away with all my kids because they're getting older. And actually, it's just really good fun. It's just really, really good. So, we had a wonderful time. So that's what I thought we'd talk about today. We talk about holidays.
So we'll start by telling us where you've been and what you did and where you went.
Okay. Where have you what you done? So when we went to Turkey for a couple of weeks. We flew into Antalya. We hired a car, and then we sort of worked our way along the coastline, and we flew back from Dalaman. So the first week we had like a 3 night. We went to a place. Our favourite place actually was a place called Sarali, starting with a C. Very chilled out, not particularly touristy, just very, very local, just really lovely, lovely place. And then we went from there to another very cool place where you could only arrive by boat.
I saw that in your stories.
Oh my God, it was just so cool. Again, really low-key place, but just so cool. It was as if time had stood still for many years. I just loved it because you had everything. You had to pay with cash, and you just didn't have to get your phone out for a lot of the things.
So what was it like if you could only arrive by boat? What was it like, the actual place? Can you describe it?
Yeah, well, you get off the jetty, and it was all built into the side of a hill, and at the very top of the hill was the relics of an old proper castle.
Wow.
So everything was slightly built into the hill. So we were staying in a little pension. That's French, it's not Turkish, but that's what they called. So it was all built on stilts. It was all kind of wooden, built on stilts.
Wow.
And it was just so cool. And then they had like tiny little roads, little kind of cobbled streets, and where there were sort of restaurants and shops, but there was no real paths. You were just constantly walking through people's places to move around. You didn't really, because it just was so higgledy-piggledy. It was really cool.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
So we went there, and then we moved along, and then as we moved along, it kind of got busier and busier. So then we went to a place called Kash, which was nice, still quite local, but a bit busier. And then we had a week in Kalkan, which
I've heard of that.
Where we had a villa, which was great. The kids loved it, but it was definitely busier. There was definitely that was the first time we started hearing other British voices.
Right.
And I don't know if I'd go back. It was quite teenagery. I mean, it was great for teenagers to go out and
like a spring break kind of place.
Yeah, it wasn't really what we were expecting, but it was. We had a great time. We weren't staying right in the thick of it. We were sort of out of it. And then we finished off in Fethiye, a place called Fethiye, which I went to years and years ago, which was nice to go and visit. So it was just really nice sort of moving along and seeing lots of different places. And I loved it. And actually, for me, some of the best moments were like those really mundane moments, like sitting in the car with all the kids totally squashed in. None of us had any, all my kids are pretty well, both Felix and Alfie are over 6 foot. Felix is 6'4", Giles is 6'3", Lula's taller than me, she's about 5'9". So we're a tall family in a tiny car with all our luggage. It's never it's always a squish. But those are the best moments for me, putting on music, singing along, moving down, sun's out, along the coastline. And that's just like, this is what I love. This is what I love. Just all being together in that small squishy space. And obviously all the other bits are amazing as well. Lots of just moments of total calm, tranquility, seeing beautiful sea, swimming in beautiful turquoise sea. All of that is amazing. Having different experiences. I went paragliding off a bloody 2,600 meter mountain, which freaking terrified me, but was absolutely amazing.
Well, I saw your reel. I've never done that. How did that feel?
Oh my God, Lucy. I mean, I hadn't really got a choice because it was Giles saw it and he was like, right, we're going to do this. And so
Did you all do it? All five
we
of
all
you?
did it. All five of us did it. Yeah, everybody in my family are complete thrill seekers. And there's no way I can get out of those sorts of things. Just going up the cable car was terrifying enough. I mean, it was just so high. But it was, it just didn't really have time to think about it. And before I knew it, the guy was like, "Right, when I say we're going to just start running off the mountain."
Oh
So I was
my
like,
God.
"Okay," but it was amazing. It was amazing. And
And
again,
how
it was
long
one
were
of
you
those.
actually? How
It,
long were you like in flight?
it was like we were in flight. We were flying for about half an hour.
You're kidding?
Yeah, it was about half an hour. It was 10 kilometers down to the sea.
Oh
Kind of
wow!
if you were to go in a straight line. It was freaking high all the way down to the
Yeah.
sea. So it was about half an hour, and it was amazing. It was absolutely
And were
incredible.
you all were all five of you like one after another? Were you all
Well,
in the
yeah,
air
and
at the same time?
we kind of got to the top, and then suddenly we all were met with our guide, our person who we were doing it with,
Yeah.
and we suddenly I saw Giles leaping off, and then it was me, and then I saw we were all sort of we were sort of all going at similar times. So yeah, it was nuts. It was great.
Wow.
And that was a really
Absolutely.
good example of literally just feel the fear. I was doing some breathing at the top. I was like going,
I
I am
bet.
calm. This is fine. They know what they're doing. This is all right. This is going to be amazing. And then just jumping off a mountain. So
Oh
yeah,
my
it was
God.
bloody brilliant. It was really brilliant. I loved it.
Wow.
So, but
Well done.
yeah, really, really, really great experiences. Always good to change your environment, get away, have a break, and spend time with people you love, family, friends. It's just really, really good. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this today
Yeah.
is because as much, because I think a lot of people at the moment are going on holiday. It's holiday season. And we all love holidays. Holidays do really refresh you, and there's something to look forward to, and it's always good to have a break in your routine. But there's a couple of things I was thinking about with holidays. Firstly, I do think a lot of us kind of hang out and live for the next holiday.
Mm.
And I know Giles, my husband, was really hanging out for this holiday. It's like, oh God, I can't wait. And it's almost like you're counting down the days until you go away and you can have that break. And with him, often, the first few days, the cold sore comes, your body suddenly relaxes. That's when many of us get ill on the
Yeah.
holiday because suddenly your immune system is allowed to start working because stress goes. So I think what I constantly kind of try and remind myself is that, we don't want to live for holidays. We want to enjoy our holidays because holidays are bloody amazing. But actually, how can we bring a little bit of holiday into every day so that every day is enjoyable rather than just whatever it is, 10 days, 15 days, 30 days of the year, which we're just hanging out for?
Yeah.
How can we make all the 300 and whatever other days
Yeah.
brilliant as well and enjoyable, and bring a little bit of that sort of sunshine to the holiday? And I know that here in Britain the weather can be shit and it can get us down, and that's why we like to go away for a bit of sunshine. And I can tell you, bloody hell, it was really, really hot,
I bet.
worryingly
I
actually
bet.
sometimes
I
in
can imagine.
uh, and that heat is amazing, and I love just the heat, and I love the sun. But what can we do to actually really enjoy every day as well as our holidays? I think
Yeah.
that's what I really that's what I was thinking about, and
Yeah.
why I think, and I just think too many of us waste the time away. We just waste so many of our days wishing them away and living for just a very few bits
Yeah,
of time where, and if those holiday days are the only times where we can feel calm, where we can feel relaxed, where we can feel happy, then
that's not
things, I
okay.
think, no, it's not. Things start need to check, start
Yeah,
need to start. I
need to start changing.
start need to change. We need to shift things. Right, your turn. I don't think I can talk this morning.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think we did actually. I think we did one of these, or maybe I did a mini-sode, but I think it was one of these actually where we talked about creating a life that you don't need to escape from. And this is
Yeah.
kind of speaking to that same thing, isn't it? But I think you can't talk about it enough times. We need that reminder, because it's so true that, and I remember the days when I used to live for the next holiday. I used to book the holiday, and many of us only have like a certain, I mean, I basically, in all of my kind of regular jobs, I had 4 weeks a year, essentially, that, plus bank holidays. But I would book a holiday and be literally counting down the days. And like you say, that is just not a way to live. Because if you are counting down the days to get to that week or that 2 weeks, what does that say about the life that you're living? And we want to learn. And I think this is the key thing, is that we can learn to love our lives right now, every day. We just have to learn how to do that. And one thing I wanted to just mention, you were talking about the weather. This is particularly relevant to people who live in the UK, or many places actually. We always kind of have a go at the bloody UK for the weather, but there's plenty of other places that don't have such great weather. But it's so funny. I remember do you remember when I was working in the coffee shop?
Yeah.
So this was like a couple of years ago, and I remember I had this revelation. This was probably about 3 years into my kind of now 5-year personal growth, spiritual awakening journey, whatever you want to call it. And I had this revelation in the coffee shop, and I was literally out the back. Do you remember I used to have to make sandwiches sometimes? I had to do like a sandwich shift. Do you remember that? And I would literally be in the kitchen at the back of this cafe, this coffee shop, and I would be listening to podcasts, and that was the brilliant thing about, by the way, about being my sister's cleaner and working in a coffee shop, is that it gave me so much time to listen to really incredible content, because I was doing these jobs that didn't require a whole load of brain power, so I was able to kind of let my brain go elsewhere. Anyway, I was on this sandwich shift, making these sandwiches, listening to podcasts, whatever. And I went out the back, right, out by the bins, to go and put something out in the bins, and it was raining. And I remember thinking, I do have a point here, I promise. And I remember thinking to myself, gosh, it's really weird, but since I have been doing this inner work, since I've been really becoming kind of much more mindful about what I'm consuming in terms of my mind, not the sandwiches, but what I'm actually consuming in my mind, the weather no longer bothers me in the way that it used to. And I think particularly us Brits, because we're always banging on about the bloody weather, I find it so painful when Brits start talking about the weather. It actually makes me cringe. It's just like, oh, for God's sake, can we please stop doing this? Especially in front of like people not from the UK, because it's just like, do you know what I mean? It's just kind of confirming that thing that the whole world thinks about us. But anyway, I just thought, wow, it actually no longer matters to me what the weather's doing. That isn't to say that I don't love a sunny day, and of course, when it's pissing it down with rain and blah blah blah, obviously, I'd rather it was nice weather. But the truth is that we cannot control the fucking weather.
No.
So I think when it comes to what we're talking about here, like day-to-day enjoyment of our everyday, so much of it comes down to recognizing what is in our control and what isn't in our control. The weather being the best example of this. So if you're one of those people who lets a rainy day really bring you down, you have to ask yourself whether that is serving you, because there is nothing we can do about that. And this is, and it's so, you and I talk about this all the time. It's where are you placing your focus? Where is your mind at? And so on a rainy day, if you choose to lean into that and get pissed off about that and be like, oh, well, it's raining, so I can't do this and I can't do that, then of course you're going to feel crap. But actually, we have a choice to not do that. So I just think that, it really does start with how we choose to frame our life and how we cultivate those little moments of feeling good every single day. And maybe on a really crappy, rainy Sunday, rather than feeling like, oh my God, I'm so depressed, it's raining, I can't go out and do anything. Maybe we can instead think, what a great excuse to just like curl up with a book or curl up and watch a film and drink hot chocolate. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because ultimately this is what it is all about. We have a choice in our everyday as to how we experience life.
Yeah.
We have a choice as to how we experience it. It is far more about what is going on in our internal landscape than it is about the circumstances that we're presented with. It's how we choose to respond to what is in front of us,
Ultimately, what we are all chasing, whether we're going on holiday or whether we are at home, is that we are chasing a state, an internal state
Yeah.
of a feeling, a state of mind and a feeling of calmness, of spaciousness, of fulfillment, of happiness, of joy. All of those feelings wrapped up into one. That is what every single one of us is chasing.
And that's what we want when we go on holiday, by the way, isn't it?
And
We think we're going to get those feelings when we go away for 2 weeks.
Exactly. So we think that's what we're going to get. And, it is great. But, let's be real. Often when you go on holiday, okay, it's wonderful. And I have just had the most wonderful holiday. But there have been many holidays when I've been on. We used to go on camping holidays, driving to Europe, camping holidays with the kids. And let me tell you, a lot of those holidays when they were young were bloody hard work. We were still doing the same old stuff, but somewhere else. We would be pitching tents. We'd still be cooking food, doing a wash up. I still loved them. It was great, but they were hard. And I think a lot of people forget this. When you go on holiday, there's still a lot of the stuff you need to be doing. And actually, when the holiday doesn't live up to your expectations of what you're searching for, those states of calmness, happiness, fulfillment, joy, blah, 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 then actually you can become a bit like, oh, shit, it's not quite as good as I was hoping. And then you're disappointed. So ultimately, if we can just bring more of that awareness into our everyday life, into our internal landscape, as you said, and find those micro moments of joy, of fulfillment, of happiness, then when we go on holiday, we can still go and have a bloody great time. But we're coming from a higher benchmark anyway. We're going to have an even better time, and it's so I think that's what a lot of us forget. We're not going to find it in a holiday if we're not finding it in our everyday. And it's the same thing with the weekends. Lots of us can live the weekends because we don't have to do the job. We don't have to get up at a certain time. But actually,
there goes the doorbell.
Someone at the door.
Oh, there goes the dog.
Oh my goodness, this is always going to happen.
Don't worry.
I'm just going to have to answer the door. Stop.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, this is keeping it real.
This is how we know it's live.
Oh goodness.
Oh, hello.
They dropped it outside anyway. There we go. Sorry, everybody.
Don't worry.
Anyway, so yeah, I think what can we do? We can just find little, and I do think it can be just down to micro moments in our everyday life. Can you find 5 minutes to go and sit outside somewhere, even if you don't have a garden or your office is somewhere which doesn't have an outdoor space? Just go outside, get some fresh air, put your face in the sun. Can you go and have a coffee and really enjoy it rather than gulping it back? Can you, I don't know, just finding those little moments. Can you really enjoy something that you're eating? Take some time out for lunch rather than sitting at your desk and eating it. Yeah. Can you put some love and nurture into that? So it really is about becoming more present in that every day, not wishing away. We're not here to wish away our lives. One thing we have not got a lot of is time. It might feel like it, but we don't. Life is finite. And so if we are wishing away our days, I do think we're going to get to the end of our life and really regret it. So it's
Totally.
about trying to milk every little last moment out of every day as much as we can. And that's not to say that, yes, some days are going to be full of lots of hard work and graft, but it's about finding ways of enjoying that. Is how do you see that? How are you choosing, as you said, to view that work, and maybe if it is really hard work, afterwards you get that real sense of satisfaction. My God, I bloody did that. And then you can almost reward yourself with something like, I don't know, going outside and having a walk and, yeah, being fully in the moment. A very quick break to ask you to hit the follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you're enjoying this episode, I'd be super grateful if you could hit those stars and rate it too. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Ultimately, it really is down to, because one thing that we have to remember is that the truth is that it doesn't matter whether you are hugely wealthy or whether you are really poor. It doesn't matter whether you live in a mansion or whether you live in a tiny little house. The truth is that most of life for all of us is the mundane. Most of life is the mundane, and the mundane doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. But for all of us, like I say, whatever our circumstances, even somebody who's, wealthy and successful, like celebrities, they're still doing the washing up. Well, maybe they're not doing the washing up actually, but you know what I mean? They're still going through that. We all have to do things in our lives, no matter how privileged or not we are. We all have to do mundane things every single day. So this is why you and I go on and on and on about your mindset and what is going on internally and what is your internal landscape, because that is what you are bringing to every single situation that you're in. And like you mentioned, if your set point is pissed off, frustrated, annoyed, anxious, you're going to go away for your 2 weeks. And guess what? You're going to be annoyed because that person nicked your sunbed and you're going to be banging on and moaning about that. That's the thing. You take who you are into whatever situation you are in your life. Yeah. And when you work on who you are being every day, and when you work on the way that you perceive life, and particularly when you just realize how the only thing that any of us have control over is what we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're responding. When you realize that, it frees you, because then you can let all of the other crap go. Yeah. And rather than moaning on that someone nicked your fucking sunbed, you can just be like, it doesn't matter. Here I am on the beach, and it sounds silly, but if you really think about it, like we've all seen those people, like we're talking about holidays, we've all seen that couple who are like bitching and moaning, having their like dinner by the sea, and that it's all about who we are being every single day, because
so
that's
interesting.
Yeah,
is that when we, the amount of people, families, couples, when you're out eating your dinner in a restaurant, so many people we spotted who are miserable, not talking to each other, kids are on screens, they're just having everyone looks like they're having a really miserable time. And honestly, it's like, can you just put the screens away, just be present here in this moment, really enjoy your food, talk to one another, and just be here now. I find it astounding the number of people who just look like they're having a thoroughly miserable time.
Yeah, it's awful,
when they're on holiday. And it is, you're right, you take who you are with you. And it's this holiday, honestly, and it is all to do with all of the constant inner work that I do, that I had so many moments of just like, oh my God, this is just appreciating. And I'm not saying I'm perfect right anyway, but I just was loving so many moments and taking a moment just to really soak it in. So it was almost like pausing, quite regularly, just to soak it in, knowing that it's fleeting, it's not going to last. But gosh, how bloody grateful am I that I get to do this and I get to be here in this moment right now. And that is then obviously radiated out to everybody else, and the same with my family. You know, there were so many lovely, wonderful conversations that we had, and so many brilliant laughs. You know, I'm often the brunt of everybody's jokes. That's just the way it goes. But it's all good. It's all good fun, and I think you can lose those moments so easily if you're worrying about, for example, oh God, we haven't got a good sunbed, or oh, this food's really not very good, or it's too hot, or it's, you know, whatever it is, you can lose all of that. And that's the magic. You know, you're getting to spend time with people, perhaps that you don't often get to spend as much time with, or you're in an environment that you're not, which is new to you and you're exploring for the first time. You can lose all of that if you're worrying about what everyone else is doing, or it's not quite up to what your expectations were. So
totally. It really is about mindfulness, isn't it? It's about having that awareness, our favorite word, because it is the most important word. It's having that awareness and making sure that, and also one thing that I think is, I mean, we could almost do it, well, we could do a whole Monday motivation on this, is ask yourself, like talking about the, you know, the pissed off people on the sunbeds, or the couple, you know, scrolling their screens, or whatever, you know, bitching and moaning, or whatever it is. Like, ask yourself, how often in your days, in your life, do you allow yourself to get irritated by what other people are doing? How often do you allow yourselves to get irritated by what other people are doing? I used to do this so badly. It was like, oh, you know, like that sort of constant irritation, and oh, they just pushed in front of me onto the tube, and you know, if you really are honest with yourself, you know, I think so many of us do that. It's like we're constantly like ready to kind of, you know, be annoyed or be angry or be frustrated. It might be the news. It's like we're primed to just be, and that is in itself is so bad for us, because that means we're in our sympathetic nervous system rather than our parasympathetic nervous system. So I really urge people to ask themselves and really look at your behavior just throughout a normal day. How many things do you allow to wind you up? How many things do you allow to annoy you? And how long do you hold on to that silly thing that happened that doesn't really matter, that you have no fucking control over? How long do you allow it to affect the way that you're feeling? You know, when we do this, the only person that we are not serving is ourselves. That person's long gone. They don't give a toss. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it's really a question worth asking. And that isn't to say that I don't still do it. Of course I bloody do. But I'm just much more aware of doing that. And I really think as human beings, we have this tendency towards the negative, to get irritated, to get worried, to get this, to get that. And we're actually, all that means is we're actually kind of missing our what could be a really lovely moment or a really lovely day. And it's a big one, no?
Yeah, that's a massive one, isn't it? Because often when we're getting irritated, it's because of something inside of us, which is, I mean, it's like an unhealed part of us, which is triggering us. So when you get really pissed off with somebody else or something which has happened, it really is worth asking the questions like, ooh, that's, you know, just getting curious, you know, that's really fascinating that I'm reacting in that way. Perhaps it's not them. What is that in me? What is that triggering in me? Because that is what you need to look at and become aware of. Because the moment you can start becoming aware of what has triggered in you, it's bound to be due to something which has happened to you in your past. Maybe it's like a stuck part of you, which is like, you know, your small child, which didn't get the love that they wanted at 7 years old. It might be that, or you haven't been listened to, or someone's overridden a decision you've made, or or someone hasn't given you the attention that you wanted. It's probably something like that, and it's really bloody triggered you, and it's still there. But the moment you recognize that in yourself, you can turn it back on yourself and go inwards and go, oh my God, that's really curious. Why am I reacting in that way?
Yeah.
It immediately takes the tension out of it and the fire out of it. And actually, that is how you start to just begin to be much calmer in those situations. It's like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. That part of me is triggered again. I
and
used
also,
to get, go on.
And also, I wonder also whether, and I completely agree with what you're saying, but I also think that in many cases it could actually be signifying something bigger, like I'm not happy with my life. Mm-hmm. I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I keep getting annoyed. I keep getting frustrated. And actually it's because actually I'm frustrated with my life, and I'm not happy living the way that I'm living. I know that that's what it was for me a lot of the time when I was holding on to anger and frustration and getting annoyed and getting irritated. It's because ultimately it was this much bigger issue within myself, because I wasn't living the life that I wanted to be living, and I felt trapped, and I felt claustrophobic, and I felt frustrated and angry that I wasn't necessarily doing what I wanted to be doing with my life. So actually, if that is you, like it was me, ask yourself, am I feeling like this a lot of the time because of a much more general frustration about my life? And if that's the case, then you've got to ask yourself, okay, well, what am I going to do to change this? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. I mean, this is a whole other conversation. Luckily, it's 9:31, so I can shut up now.
Exactly. And and just on that, when you're getting triggered, often it's because you are in your sympathetic part of your nervous system, you're stressed out. So it's like, what can I do to switch out of that mode? You're in that part of your nervous system probably for many, many reasons. And one of them could be you're not living the life that you want to be leading. It could be that you've got a load of stresses going on, whatever it is. So it really is an opportunity to look at internally. It's never normal. It's never about the other people normally. It's normally always about us, about ourselves. And it's really an invitation to go, right, let's have a look inwards and see what I can do. I know this because I was that person constantly flying off the handle, getting irritated, no patience. And it really does. I still actually am sometimes so amazed how calm I can react to certain situations. I'm not saying I'm perfect at all, but just so much calmer. And in fact, my daughter, who's 15 years old, and can be quite challenging at the moment, even said to me, "Oh God, you're so annoying sometimes because you always stay so calm and don't ever react." And I was like, "Okay, I'll take that."
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I love it. The teenager that's annoyed because you're not like freaking out and you're not overreacting, you're remaining calm.
Really, that made me laugh. I was like, well, you can't win, can you?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Anyway, right. It's 9:32.
Yeah.
We've kind of gone all over the place today. So yeah, thank you. Anybody who's been listening or watching, and
yes, thank you. And we'll be out on the podcast. I don't know why I'm saying this because we're going to put it out anyway, so it's kind of it will also be on both of our podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. Thanks, love. Have a wonderful day.
Speak to you soon. Lots of love, babe. Bye. See you later. Bye. Bye.